Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for tuning in. Today we're looking at another flashlight. This is the Olight S30R Javelot. Once again, there's the Olight brand on it. This is a light that I saw down at SHOT Show that I was pretty interested in. They approached me and asked if I was interested in trying out some of their lights. This is one that did definitely jump out at me as being very interesting, and I'll talk about some of those features on it that made it so interesting to me. During the course of this review, we're also going to see a dunk test, we're going to see a drop test, we're going to see it throwing out to 50 or so yards trying to identify some objects, as well as we're also going to, of course, get a look at the beam and see what the different modes look like, but we're going to get to that in a bit. First, let's talk about some of the external and some of the simple features that make it appealing to me. Well, we do have a little bit of heat dispersion up here. That's what these ribs here are for. That seems to work fine. I haven't had it on for a super long time in any of the use that I've done with it, maybe half hour at a time, and that was during the dunk test. We do have some good knurling here on the back, which is going to help you get a good grip on that tail right there, and then of course some knurling here on the body that's going to once again help you get a good grip on it. This is something I definitely see being used more without gloves than with gloves. It's not really a lot of coarse knurling. It's fairly fine on there. So I definitely see that that's something that's meant to interact with your skin, not so much with fabric. But I could definitely see it also working fine with gloves. The clip is great on it. It curves back up like this to give you a nice deep bury. That means that there's only going to be a little bit of this hanging out of your pocket to catch on things or whatever. So this is definitely something you could EDC if you like that size. Now the type of battery would be one 18650 or two CR123As that go in here. And it comes with a single 18650 that is rechargeable. Not only that, but it comes with a recharging base. And this is really the thing that interested me the most about this flashlight. Before I get into that, we'll just touch on one last thing. The interface is right here. You've got one button and that is it. So there's nothing on the back to worry about as far as switches. It's just that one there at the head. So that's pretty nice. I will say that in the dark, hunting around for that switch did take me a little bit of time, and I did pass it over a couple of times before I finally said, oh, that feels like that rubber switch compared to everything else around it. And so that's something to note. But all right, let's get to the point that I was kind of really impressed with. So this is rechargeable. It came with that that single 18650 battery already in it. And to recharge that, it came with a base as well. Here's the recharging base. So it's got a little USB extender right there, so you could actually plug something else into this base and charge a couple of things at the same time. It came with the cord, which goes in right there. So you probably got one of those mini USBs already for a phone or something else, if you're like me. But it does come with that anyway. And so you would just set that on the base like so, magnetizes onto it, and plug that into your, whatever your USB source is, whether that's a computer or whether that's some sort of a USB power adapter, it doesn't matter. It will charge it either way. The other awesome thing about that, the fact that it's rechargeable, yes, it's rechargeable using that 18650 battery, but also you can pop that out and in a pinch put in two CR123As, like I said before. It will not recharge those. If you try that, you could be in trouble. But if you take this out on a trip or something and you want spare batteries but you don't have a way to recharge it while you're out, then taking along two CR123As will get you there. It'll help you keep this light running. There are also a whole lot of great uses with that magnetic tail on this light, because that will stick to all kinds of metal surfaces. So let's say this is your car hood or something like that and you're checking things out. This is the Klecker slice knife. But let's say this is something that, some piece of metal you need to stick this light to. Just stick it on like so. Well, in that case, kind of rolled right off. But if it's on there nice and flush and flat, it will attach and stick to that and hang, and just, you can use that and have that turned on and have it shining without needing some special way to attach this. So the fact that it's got a magnetic base to it, I think is a really big selling point. It's going to give you a lot of versatility. Just from the outside, we do see that there's a little bit of an orange peel texture to that reflector in there, and you'll get to see what the beam looks like here in a little bit. Alright, so one of the tests I want to talk about first, the drop test. It did just fine on the drop test. Dropped it maybe 5 times. Did that from around waist height, maybe slightly higher. It's advertised as being able to hold up to 1.5 meters. So that's probably, you know, not quite as tall as me, but maybe shoulder, chest height for me. So I dropped it to around, you know, kind of around there, just a little bit rib cage height. Did that maybe 5 times, and it held up just fine. Didn't switch off, didn't have any problems that I could tell. Also did a dunk test on it. Wanted to see how well it would hold up in a jug of water, and that's all I had really. It's meant to actually hold up to even more than that. It's meant to, I think should be able to dunk this up to maybe 8 feet, 6 or 8 feet, and have it be fine. So that's good to know if that's true. But what I did was, like I said, just put it in a jug of water to see how it would do on a drive home for about half an hour. It seemed to do fine until I just opened it up just now before the review. And here's what I found. As you screw that tail cap off, and I look in here, and I don't remember if I saw any moisture in there. I don't think I do see any in there. But as I pull the battery off right away, see that water droplet right there? There it is. There's a little water droplet. And on the battery itself, even more. How did so much water get in there? Now, I think when I went to open this cap up, one thing I noticed was that it wasn't on all that tight, or I should say it came loose pretty quickly. So it stops right about there, and you could probably crank it just a little bit harder and make it a little bit harder to open. What I did, I didn't have to break anything like that. Started twisting it, it just went. So that tells me that maybe all that rattling around, or maybe the drop test loosened that up a little bit. Obviously it did land on that butt end a couple of times. You can tell from the little dings in there, and it probably has some other dings on here somewhere there on the head as well. But that might have loosened that up just a little bit. And then after that, I went straight to the water, just dunked it straight in, and that could have possibly, you know, been the reason why it was allowing a little bit of water in there. We're going to go ahead and dry this battery off before I put it back in. Now, I believe that this would be rechargeable if you had any other sort of recharging station for 18650s or any other rechargeable batteries as well. I don't think you necessarily have to recharge it inside of this battery or inside of this light, but it is great that it came with a way to actually do that, which is super convenient and works great. All right, moving on. Of course, you want to see some of the outdoor portion of this video where I'm going to show you the light itself, at least how it throws, and give you a good look at the spot and all that good stuff. So let's cut to that, and then we'll come back here for some final thoughts in a second. So let's get into the different modes on the S30R, and in the process, we'll show you what that beam looks like as well. The first mode we're going to start off with is the lowest one, that's 1 lumens, which is rated to go 720 hours. The way you reach that is by pressing and holding down on the button, and that looks a lot brighter on screen than it does in reality, because the camera is set to sort of let in maximum light right now. To reach the next mode up, you press and hold, and you get to 20 lumens, which is meant to last 26 hours according to their specs. If I didn't say so, the 1 lumen mode is meant to last 720 hours. Press and hold again to get to 100 lumens, which is rated at 10 hours. Press and hold one more time to get up to 600 lumens. If you want to get up to turbo mode, this is where you get into you have to do sort of specialty clicks. And that's a double click, and you get into turbo at 1,000 lumens, meant to last 1 hour. And again, you can reach that turbo mode from whichever mode you might already be in. So it's readily accessible. You don't have to cycle through all the other modes to get to turbo. You can also get to strobe from anywhere with 3 clicks. And there's your strobe at 1,000 lumens, 2 hours. Turn that off. Now what it's going to do now, if I turn it back on with 1 click, it'll go to the highest mode it was last in. That shouldn't be turbo, that should be the 600 lumen mode. So if I press it once, that should be my 600 lumen. And we'll test that by triple clicking or double clicking it. and I think that's the turbo there. Turn that off, on again. That might still be turbo. Anyway, press hold, and we go down a mode. That would have been 20, 100, 600, 20, 100, 600. So it naturally cycles through in that press and hold action, naturally cycles through the 20, the 100, and the 600. In order to reach the 1 lumen mode, you have to turn it off, and then you have to press and hold it from off, and that's the only way you can get to the 1 lumen mode. So there's a little look at the different modes there on the S30R. They're pretty intuitive. I figured them out without looking at the manual, and they all work pretty well. Okay, what I want to do now is sort of test the throw on the S30R and see how it does for identifying objects out at around 50 yards. Now what we've got out here is a little camp chair, and I don't think that in low 1 lumen mode we're going to be able to spot it. We're zoomed way in, and the camera is trying to do its best to adjust for light, but it will not pick anything up in that low mode. So we're going to scoot it up by pressing and holding, seeing if we identify anything yet out there. Now I don't see anything with my naked eyes, and I don't see anything in the camera viewfinder either. So we're going to go from low up to medium now, and we're starting to see some shapes. I think I see that camp chair. Once again, the camera's doing some work for us, but the light does seem to be picking it up, and my naked eyes do see it as well. And so if we move one more mode up, now it's very clear, and that is in high. So that looks very nice at this distance, and I can definitely pick that up. Again, if I'm out in the woods someplace and looking for my camp, maybe I got lost, seeing something like that would definitely give me hope. And let's go to turbo, and it's even brighter now. So that light is doing lots of good work to identify objects around me, and that's a win. Some final thoughts on the Olight S30R Javelot. I think this is a great light for EDC, for carrying around every day. It could also be a great light for carrying around on duty. Perhaps if you're maybe a security officer or something like that, and you want something that you could recharge very easily. You don't want to go through a lot of batteries. You'd like to instead just take this home, charge it up, and then go back to work the next day with a fully ready flashlight. Sure, I could definitely see that as a good role for this light. Also just campers, you know, maybe emergency kits, things like that. This is the light that wants to be used. The fact that it's got that recharging capability, it tells me it wants to get out and get used. So if you're going to use it for camping, use it every time you go. Charge it up before you put it away, and then take it, you know, when it's fresh and ready to go. Otherwise, I think it's a really good light for just a daily use. I can see a lot of folks EDCing this flashlight. It's a little big, a little fat for what I like. I prefer something around this size, which is considerably smaller, obviously, and sometimes around that size as well. But yeah, I know a lot of you guys out there enjoy something a little bigger, and you like having that capability that comes with, you know, all that extra weight, all that extra size. I'm down with that, and I understand it. And that's my assessment of the S30R Javelot from Olight. Great light. You ought to check it out if you're interested in it. One last thing I didn't mention, it does have a little glowing ring right there. So if this has been on for a little while, that's kind of a cool feature. Is it all that useful? Not sure, but it is pretty cool. All right, I'm the Late Boy Scout. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you guys later. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're like, that's not going to turn on. Yes, it will. Check that out. It's a bit dimmer. It doesn't put out as much juice, but it works. It works, and that is so cool.